Sahih Muslim Hadith 328, narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Messenger of Allah said, I found myself in Hijr, and the Quraysh were asking me about my night journey. I was asked about things pertaining to Bayt al-Maqdis, which I could not preserve in my mind, meaning Muhammad had forgotten them. I was very much vexed, so vexed as I had never been before. Then Allah raised it, Bayt al-Maqdis, before my eyes. I looked towards it, and I gave them the information about whatever they questioned me. Ladies and gentlemen, please be aware that the alleged greatest and most all-knowing prophet ever actually forgot what he had seen only a few hours earlier. How is it possible for such a supreme person to keep on forgetting the most momentous events in his life and still be called a prophet? Ibn Ishaq, page 184. Al-Hasan continued, Allah sent down concerning those who left Islam for this reason the following ayah. Al-Ra'd 13.33. We made the vision which we showed you only a test for men. We put them in fear, but it only adds to their heinous error. As usual with Muhammad, he created this made-to-order verse from Allah to admonish those who would not believe his lies anymore. Sahih al-Bukhari 5.227, narrated by Abbas bin Malik. Malik bin Sasa said that Allah's apostle described to them his night journey, saying, While I was lying in Al-Hatim or Al-Hijr, suddenly someone came to me and cut my body open from here to here. I asked Al-Jarud, who was by my side, what does he mean? He said, it means from his throat to his pubic area, or said, from the top of the chest. The Prophet further said, he then took out my heart. Then a gold tray of belief was brought to me, and my heart was washed and was filled with belief, and then returned to its original place. Then a white animal, which was smaller than a mule and bigger than a donkey, was brought to me. On this Al-Jarud asked, was it the Buraq, O Abu Hamza? I, i.e. Anas, replied in the affirmative. The Prophet said, the animal's step was so wide that it reached the furthest point within the reach of the animal's sight. I was carried on it, and Gabriel set out with me till we reached the nearest heaven. So-called believers and unbelievers, be aware of the following seminal points. 1. Muhammad required a second operation to remove a satanic clot from his heart and fill it once more with belief. Does that mean that between the first operation when he was 2 to 3 years old till the age of 50, he was in unbelief? 2. In this altered version of the night journey, Muhammad used Buraq to go to the first heaven and not to Jerusalem. 3. Imam al-Bukhari did not quote anything from Ibn Ishaq because he considered him unreliable as to his sources, and yet he used Ibn Ishaq's original and only first story about the night journey to alter it completely and give us an even more mythical version. 4. Also be aware that not a single miracle concocted about Muhammad by his later followers by the dozens have any foundations either in the Quran or in reality. The problem with all of the above hadiths and many more not recounted here is the astounding fact and reality that historically General Titus and his Roman soldiers had leveled the Second Temple in AD 70, more than 500 years before Muhammad's alleged night journey to Jerusalem took place. What is just as relevant here is the recorded fact that Abu Bakr became Muhammad's accomplice in lying to and deceiving the Muslims when he corroborated Muhammad's descriptions of items that could not possibly be real regarding the non-existent Temple of Solomon. For his blatant collusion in the deception, Muhammad added insult to injury by honoring him with the title of Siddiq, the Truthful. So much for the alleged truthfulness of the Prophet of Muhammad and Islam. In fact, the temple that eventually became Al-Masjid al-Aqsa did not come into existence until AD 691, when Abdul Malik built it. If, as the Muhammadan exegetes insist, that the journey was to an actual masjid, then the preceding factors make it impossible to date Surah 17.1 to the time of Muhammad. This verse could have only been written sometime after the erection of Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. This is further substantiated by the fact that Masjid al-Aqsa contains no early references to the mythical night journey in over 760 feet of Quranic verses. This is a bizarre omission, since Muhammadans claim that the Masjid al-Aqsa was erected specifically in commemoration of this alleged event. The inscriptions that do mention the night journey are later additions made by Abdul Hamid II in 1876, nearly 11 centuries later. In the light of all this, it is legitimate to ask the following questions. Since the Temple of Solomon did not exist at the time of Muhammad, then what temple did Muhammad visit, enter and pray at before ascending to heaven? Seeing that the Muhammadan Muslims assert that the Quran mentions a journey to a mosque that did not exist during the lifetime of Muhammad, how can one accept the veracity of the Quran? As it is a recorded fact that the hadiths contain this blatant historical error, how can one trust either source to provide one with the reliable information on the life of Muhammad and the first Muslims? Does not the fact that if the Quran mentions a mosque which was only erected in AD 691 prove that there were Muslims who unashamedly and deceitfully added stories to the Quranic text and passed them off as revelations from Allah? If one cannot find an answer to these and the numerous other questions, historical problems within the Quran and Hadith, why would one still remain a Muhammadan Muslim? From all the above, it is crystal clear that Muhammad was definitely being mendacious when he described a structure that did not exist, and so was his sidekick Abu Bakr. So much for the truthful leaders of Muhammadan Islam. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall receive the usual denials from the followers of Muhammad regarding the veracity and or reliability of Ibn Ishaq. Hence, we would like to point out to all of our listeners the following. Ibn Ishaq is considered unreliable only because he was the first to mention the satanic verses controversy. If he was wrong on that one, then we must assume that he is wrong about the night journey also. If this be the case, then all claims by the Arabs and the Muhammadan Muslims to their right to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem and to Jerusalem become instantly null and void.